while we wait for the stragglers. But yeah, here goes nothing. Hi everyone, and welcome to the second webinar on Adroit Air. Although I'll cover most of it again today, the first webinar does go into some more basics around the technology, onboarding and definitions, so I suggest you go and give that a watch as well if you haven't yet. Air as a product has been out for a while now, and we've had quite a lot of useful feedback from the field. Based on this feedback, we've made a bunch of changes to improve usability and functionality. We've also increased various limits to provide even more value out the box. Lastly, we've also made various changes to allow tighter integration to the rest of our mobility products, like Performance Anywhere and the Secure Mobile Gateway. For our agenda, I've built a small sample project to provide a practical backdrop to better explain the changes and additions. So I'll run you through that quickly. Then we'll go through the process of adding and configuring the Air data source, and I'll detail the basics and changes to each section as we go through. Then we'll go through the changes on the app side as well.
Somebody is asking for you to turn up the volume. It's okay on my side, but somebody is complaining about the volume.
The volume is as high as I can get it here. We'll have to adjust on the client side. I can hear it as well as it comes through the Teams portal, so it's okay, but you'll have to adjust on the client side.
Okay, let's move on.
So like I said, I've created a very basic sample project to help provide some context to the functionality. In this sample, we're just monitoring a site where we're pumping water into a tank. We're monitoring the running and error states of the pump, as well as the level inside the tank. Now, because for this project, we're going to have to monitor a bunch of these sites, I've created an object model template so that when I need to spin up another site, I can just create and deploy another instance. And then simply add that instance to our overview form, line it up a bit, and then we're rolling with our new site. Then this project also requires that some users have access to some of the data remotely. So we'd have to build some Performance Anywhere dashboards to expose this in a mobile or desktop browser. So I've created some very basic dashboards for each site, as well as an alarm overview that also shows all the alarms. So you can page through each of the available sites and see the data remotely on your browser or on your phone. Next, the project also requires that users are notified when some problem condition occurs on site. So for that, we need to go and add an Adroit Air data source to the project. So we're going to go ahead and add our Air data source to the server. Here we'll enter the Adroit Air credentials of the user that's going to administer the system. This is going to be me, so just log in. Once that's done, you can specify a project name, so we'll call this my sample project, add the project, and finish. Okay. Next, I'm just going to go ahead and log into my emulator so we can start receiving messages. And this is one of the first things that you'll notice is on this side as well, we've decided to add the administrator user to the project automatically. So you'll see I'm already added to my sample project, and I'm already an available user in the user's overview. Something I always like to do as soon as I've added a user to the project is just to send a little test message to that user to make sure everything is working end to end. So we'll send that off, and we've received that message on my device. The text message interface, as well as the alarms interface, hasn't really changed much. You can still specify an alarm list and a minimum priority per user. So for this project, I've sent all the alarming to a single alarm list, so my user will get the alarms for each site. But if you had multiple users, you could have each site's alarms go to a single alarm list, and then the person responsible for each individual site would only get those. Our process data messages. For the process data messages, we've increased the amount of allowed configured messages from 10 to 24. The thinking there was that at the minimum, you might want to receive an update, an hourly update for a whole day. So we've allowed 24 messages to be configured. We've also allowed more data elements per message, so we've increased that limit to 20 as well. On this interface, we've also made a couple of usability improvements. The chief among which is the ability to preview what your process data message is going to look like on the client side. So if I preview there, this is pretty much what the user will receive on his device. Now I've noticed I've made an error with my formatting, not that it's going to make a difference at the end of the day, but I'd like to keep this correct, so I'm going to change that to floating point, and we've added the option over here to update a change in this grid in the message body directly. So it'll go and find wherever the 0th data element is being used and change its format specifier as I've changed it at the bottom here. So I'll just go ahead and do that for each of those. So we've got that sorted, and update each of those. We'll see our format still looks the same, and I'm a user that wants to receive this message, so I can go ahead and apply that. This message is a summary of a couple of the tank levels every hour, so I'm going to trigger that on systeminfo.hour. Let's say we'd want to do the same, but for our purposes we want to have this happen a little bit quicker. We can just change that to minute, and then we'll keep receiving these updates. That's a bit quick, but for the purposes of this demonstration, I think it's better that we get the updates quite frequently. So let's finish that and start looking at these messages coming in. Just going to start my simulator so we can get some alarms as well. And let's switch over to the app so we can see those process data messages coming in. One of the alarms that we've got configured on this project is that whenever a pump goes into the stop state, I'll stop a couple of them, they raise an alarm. So we'll see our two pumps are in alarm, and we're obviously expecting that on this side, and there we've got them already. So we've got our two pump alarms. Now on the app interface, one of the enhancements that we've done is we've added the ability to filter the message view. This is partly because of the increased allotment of process data messages. If you've got a longer history of 24 or 20 messages, it can become a bit difficult to find the one that you're looking for. So we've added this filter feature. We can search for underscore O2, and that filters out the message for pump 1. Let's clear that message. In the meantime, our process data messages have started coming in. You'll see that we've got the same filter option here, because as I said, the history of messages can now be quite a lot longer, so you'll have many more messages in this view. It'll build up as we go through the demo. I don't think there's going to be anything for us to filter on here because they all have exactly the same text. What we've also added is the ability to delete the messages, at least in the process data and text message lists. That's because you might want to get rid of older messages because they might not be relevant anymore, and they just cause unnecessary clutter. So here we'll go to our older message and just delete it, and then we just have the most recent one available. Same thing for texts. We don't have any more texts here, but as soon as we did, we could add those. Come on. We're still only sending the alarms on a deadband of a minute. Same with process data. So the quickest turnaround you're going to get after the alarm occurs or after a process data message is triggered is it'll deliver within a minute of that event. Lastly, we've added the ability to access our existing Adroit mobility clients directly from inside the Air app. This was an important step for us to complete the circle, as now you're able to alert the user of some important critical issue on site and then immediately present him with a rich interface that can drive rapid decision making. To configure that, we can go back to our Air data source, then we go to the settings tab, and here you need to add in your mobility URL. So we'll use performance anywhere this time around. It's important to note that this needs to be the performance anywhere URL that you can access from where you need to access it from. So if you want to access it from the internet at large, then you need to have your IT department expose your performance anywhere address URL to the web. Alternatively, if all the devices that need to view this will be on, let's say, the company Wi-Fi when they need to view it, then you can use a local version of that address. So mine, I think, is 192.168.185/perf anywhere. And now what will happen is the moment I apply this setting, it will automatically push this configuration to every user in the project list, and they'll receive it automatically in their app. I had to finish there. Just wait for that to finish applying. And in our app instance, come on emulator, you'll see we've got this new page loaded, which is the container for the mobility client. So from here we've given the option to launch it either in the app or in the browser. This is simply because at times we found that some of the downloaded browsers might provide extra or better functionality than the one you get as part of the operating system, which is the one that we load natively in the app. So from here, let's first take a look at what this looks like in the browser. Let's open that with Chrome. And once it loads, eventually let's excuse me, I'm going from my laptop to a remote desktop to a Mac running an emulator, so there's a couple of links in this chain. So here we could just log in and have our Performance Anywhere page loaded, keeping in mind that this is in the browser. Let's go with and I think I want to show everybody here my password, so I'll just do this in private and then log in. So as it will have been in the past, you get your Performance Anywhere page loaded. It updates at its own update rate, and there we get the same UI that we did in the desktop browser. You can jump between some of these pages as well. So let's just go back and get a feel for what this looks like when it's in the app. I think I should be running it still there. Now, one of the benefits of just getting new anons in, of running this in the app, is we've given you the opportunity to provide your credentials to the app so that you don't have to worry about entering them every time you go to this page. We've also automatically turned on the run on login option so that you're directly in the runtime user interface. So let's just go and enter those credentials quickly. If we go to settings, you'll see your project listed, and among the new settings that are available is the Performance Anywhere setting. This is the URL that got pushed to us from the project. You can't edit this on this side. The setting always gets pushed from the server, but we have given you the opportunity to enter and save your login credentials over here. Keep in mind that these are also typically your domain credentials, or the same credentials that you would use to log into Performance Anywhere if you were logging in from anywhere else, not from the Air app. So it's the same story. And quickly obscure this. And apply that setting. There we go. Back to our page. And now we can simply select the refresh, reconfirm that we want to do this in the app, and it'll try and load the page, and the moment it finishes loading, it'll also try and log in automatically. Okay, so there we've got the same interface already logged in for us. Just as the alarm comes in, it automatically jumps there. You can interact with this as you would in the browser. It's got the same options. This mouse is terrible. You've got your same options to navigate to different pages of your Performance Anywhere dashboard, as well as our alarm page, which should match what we've got going on back in the alarms list over here. Alrighty. That's good. So that pretty much concludes the demonstration portion. I don't know if there's any questions or comments that's come up while you guys are watching.